don't stop. They toll in the gray stone tower above the refectory, bronze voices that have marked every hour of your 12 years. Wake, work, prayer, sleep, wake again. But these bells are different. Slower, heavier. The kind of tolling that makes the other children stop chewing their gruel and look up. You know the sound. You've heard it before, in the stories the older girls whispered during the dark hours in the dormitory. The Adeptus Ministorum comes maybe once every 5 years. Sometimes they take children, sometimes they don't. Sister Margot, who oversees the refectory, stands straighter. Her thin lips press into a line. She sets down her serving ladle with deliberate care, the kind of careful that means something is happening. Around you, 147 orphans of Hive Secundus continue eating, but you feel the shift. The way breathing changes, the way spoons move slower. You push gruel around your bowl. It's the usual synthetic protein paste, gray as ash, tasting of metal, and the faint sweetness of additives that make your teeth ache if you think about it too long. You don't usually think about it. Thinking makes the hunger worse. But now you're thinking about everything. The bells, the way Sister Margot's jaw is clenched, the fact that your tunic has a hole near the shoulder that shows the grayish white of your skin beneath. The doors to the refectory open. They're massive doors, reinforced steel with the Aquila stamped into the metal, that symbol you've been taught to revere since you were small enough to sit in a nun's lap. You don't remember your mother. The sisters say you were left on the steps when you were newborn, wrapped in cloth that had the emperor's seal embroidered on it, which meant you were blessed, which meant you belonged to the Imperium now, which meant you belonged to them. 3 figures step through the doors. The first is a woman in black armor that catches the refectory's electric lights and throws them back like water. The armor is segmented, layered, ancient-looking, in a way that makes something in your chest tighten. She wears a tabard over it, deep crimson, and on her chest is a symbol you recognize from the religious texts. A flaming sword. Her face is severe, weathered, marked with ritual scars that form patterns you can't quite follow. She doesn't look at the children. She looks past them, through them, as if you're not quite real. The second is younger, maybe 30, with the same black armor, but not yet the scars. She carries a data slate and writes on it without looking down, her fingers moving with practiced precision. The third is Sister Cassia. You know Sister Cassia. Everyone knows Sister Cassia. She comes to the orphanage twice a year to oversee the selection of those who will be sent to the manufactorums, the hive farms, the labor gangs. She has pale eyes that don't blink much. She moves like something coiled, like a spring that might snap. The other children are afraid of her. You've never been particularly afraid of her. Fear requires attention, and you've learned not to draw attention. You should have learned better. Sister Cassia walks through the refectory slowly. The children watch her. Some of them have stopped eating entirely now, spoons suspended halfway to their mouths. Her boots click against the metal floor, grating. Click, click, click. A rhythm like another kind of bell. She passes rows of children, doesn't stop at any of them. You can see her eyes moving, evaluating, measuring, dismissing. You've seen her do this before. She looks for something specific. The sisters say it's for the strength of faith, but you've noticed she always picks the ones with straight backs and quick reflexes, the ones who don't flinch when they're hit. She's getting closer to your section of the refectory. Your hands are shaking. You don't know why. You've never been chosen for anything. You're thin, smaller than most of the other girls your age. You have a scar on your left forearm from when you fell into a heating vent 2 years ago. You're forgettable. You've made yourself forgettable. It's safer that way. Sister Cassia is 3 rows away. The older woman in the scarred armor stands near the refectory entrance, watching. Her hand rests on the pommel of a sword, an actual sword, not a last weapon like the guards carry. You've only ever seen swords in pictures. She wears it like it's a part of her body. 2 rows away. You can smell her now, not unpleasant, but sharp. Ozone and oil and something metallic that might be blood, the smell of someone who lives in armor. 1 row away. Your mouth is dry. Your heart is moving too fast. You don't understand why your body is doing this. This doesn't matter. Whatever this is, it doesn't matter. You'll go back to the dormitory after meals. You'll sleep on the thin mattress on the metal frame. You'll wake when the morning bells toll. Nothing changes. Nothing ever changes. Sister Cassia stops. She's looking at you. Not looking past you. Not looking through you. Looking at you, the way you might look at something that interests you. Her pale eyes move from your face down to your hands, which are still shaking, gripping the edge of the metal table. You try to stop them from shaking. This makes them shake worse. "This one," Sister Cassia says. Her voice is not loud, but it carries. The refectory seems to hold its breath. You feel every other child's eyes turn toward you. Feel the sudden, terrible weight of attention. Your stomach doesn't drop. It disappears entirely, leaving behind a hollow space that fills with something cold. "You're certain?" the scarred woman says. She has an accent you don't recognize. Not hive speak, something else, something that sounds like it comes from places you've never been. "The Emperor provides," Sister Cassia says, and it sounds like an answer to a different question. She has the look. The young sister with the data slate makes a note. A small, insignificant gesture that will change everything you are. You stand up because someone, Sister Margot, you think, is gesturing at you to stand. Your legs work, but they feel like they belong to someone else. You've never been good at separating yourself from your body. The choosing. The refectory smells like thin gruel and desperation. You know this smell the way you know your own breathing, so completely that you stopped noticing it years ago. 12 years of it. 12 years of this cavernous space with its vaulted ceiling and the sound of 300 orphans eating in near silence. The only noise, the scrape of wooden spoons against tin bowls and the occasional crack of the attendance keeper's stick against a bench when someone forgets the proper posture. You're sitting in your usual place, 3rd row from the back, where the weak light from the high windows barely reaches. Your bowl is half full. The gruel today has something in it that might be protein. Might be. You've learned not to ask. You've learned not to think too hard about what goes into the great vats that line the kitchen wall, the ones you've seen the cooks stirring with implements that look more suited to industrial work than food preparation. Better not to know. Better to eat and be grateful and keep your head down. The bells tolled this morning before dawn. You heard them from your sleeping shelf, 3 short peals followed by 1 long note that seemed to vibrate through the stone itself. The other children stirred. Some whispered. Mother Hesta moved through the dormitory with her cane, tapping it against the floor, not hitting anyone, just reminding you all that talking was not permitted. You knew what the bells meant. Everyone knew. The delegation came once every few years, the Adeptus Ministorum delegation. You've seen them before, though not like this, not close. There was a selection 7 years ago when you were 5. You remember the fear more than anything else. The way the older children had gone rigid, the way the younger ones had started to cry before anything had even happened. The memory is fuzzy now, worn smooth by time and the weight of all the days that have come after. But you remember the sound of the delegation's boots on the stone floor. Heavy boots. Purposeful. The kind of sound that makes your hindbrain scream. This time they're here for longer. You can tell because the delegation didn't just pass through the refectory this morning. They stood at the far end, near the head table where Mother Hesta and the other sisters sit. There are 4 of them. One is a scarred woman with an accent that doesn't belong to any hive speak you know. One is younger, holding a data slate, making notes. One is Sister Cassia. You don't know her name is Sister Cassia yet. You will learn it soon enough. But right now, all you know is that she's watching. She's been watching since they arrived this morning, and her eyes move across the refectory the way a hunter's eyes move across a killing ground. She's tall, taller than the other sisters. Her habit is black, deep black, the kind of black that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. Around her waist is a chain with a small aquila hanging from it. You've never seen an aquila worn like that before. Everything about her seems older than the other sisters, worn down by something you don't have words for yet. Her face is pale, almost colorless, and her eyes are gray in a way that reminds you of the sky on the rare days when the hive's pollution clears enough to see it. You shouldn't be looking at her. You know this. You know that direct observation of the delegation is not permitted. Mother Hesta made this clear this morning, made it clear with the particular emphasis she uses when something might result in punishment. So you look down at your gruel. You lift another spoonful to your mouth. You chew slowly, deliberately, trying to make yourself smaller, trying to become the kind of person that doesn't get noticed. But something has changed. The air in the refectory has changed. It's harder to breathe. Your heartbeat, which has been the normal background rhythm of your existence, is suddenly audible in your own ears. You don't understand why. You don't understand what you're reacting to, but your body knows. Your body knows before your mind catches up. The spoon shakes slightly in your hand. You're not the only one. Around you, you can feel the other children going rigid. This is the moment. This is the moment when the delegation walks between the rows of benches. This is the moment when they might look at you, when they might see you. The footsteps start. 3 sets of boots moving down the central aisle. They're not hurrying. That's somehow worse than if they were. The deliberation of it. The way they pause occasionally. You hear the delegation woman's voice, low and measured. You hear Sister Cassia respond. Her voice is quiet, but there's something in it that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Authority. Not the authority of Mother Hesta, which is backed by a cane and the threat of the punishment cells. Something else. Something that sounds like it comes from a place so far outside the orphanage that you can't even imagine it. They're getting closer. You can smell them now. Not unwashed like you and the other children. Not like the thin soap and human closeness of the orphanage. This is something else. Leather. And something sharp and chemical that might be gun oil, and something underneath it all that smells like iron and ash, the smell of somewhere else. The smell of the wider Imperium that exists beyond the orphanage walls. Your hands are shaking. You press them flat against the table to hide it. Don't look up. Don't look up. Don't look up. You look up. Sister Cassia is looking directly at you. For a moment, just a moment, you see something in her face. Recognition, maybe? Or assessment? Or both. Her gray eyes move across her face, and you have the strange, disorienting sensation that she is seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself. Something that matters. Something that is being measured against some internal scale that only she understands. Your stomach drops. Not a metaphorical dropping. An actual, physical sensation of your insides falling away, leaving only the hard knot of your spine and the sudden, overwhelming sense that something fundamental has shifted. You feel it the way a caged animal must feel the moment the cage door swings open. Not relief, but a terrible, vertiginous awareness that everything that comes next will be different. She points at you, one finger extended across the refectory. Not aggressive, not theatrical, just a simple gesture, the way you might point at a defect in a piece of machinery. "That one," Sister Cassia says. "The refectory." The robing happens in a cell so small you could touch both walls if you stretched your arms. You don't stretch them. You've learned not to take up space. The old woman? Sister Mordain, you think, though no one's bothered to introduce her, holds out the novitiate's habit like it's something sacred. Maybe it is. The fabric is black, heavy, woven from something that feels like it might be synthetic, but also might be something worse. It's cold. Everything here is cold in a way that has nothing to do with temperature. Your rags fall away. You're naked for exactly 3 seconds, and in those 3 seconds you feel the full weight of your 12 years, the hunger, the beatings from older orphans, the time you drank water from a drain and were sick for a week. Your body is a map of survival. Thin ribs, bruises that never quite faded. A scar on your left hip from when you fell through a grate in the orphanage basement. The habit goes on. Over your head. Down your body. It swallows you. The weight is immediate and strange, not painful exactly, but demanding. It wants something from you just by existing on your skin. The cloth is stiff, treated with something that makes your eyes water, machine oil maybe, or something blessed. You're not sure there's a difference anymore. Sister Mordain ties the rope around your waist, not tight, but firm enough that you feel it every time you breathe. A reminder. A tether. Come, she says, not unkindly, just factual. She leads you through corridors of gray permacrete. The transport ship is smaller than you expected. Not the cathedral ships you've heard whispers about in the orphanage, where they say, "Sisters of battle ride to war." This is utilitarian. Functional. The walls hum with machinery. You can feel it through the soles of your bare feet. They took your shoes, but haven't given you new ones yet. Your feet are already bleeding slightly where the blisters burst. The reflection chamber is a small room with a single mirror, polished steel. Not perfect. You can see the wear marks where countless hands have adjusted it, countless faces have stared into it. But reflective enough. Sister Mordain positions you in front of it and leaves without a word. You don't recognize yourself. It's not just the habit, though that's most of it. The black cloth makes your skin look paler than you remember it being. Your eyes seem larger. Your hair, they cut it while you slept, you realize, is now just above your shoulders, uneven, practical. It's the hair of someone who doesn't matter enough to be groomed properly. But it's something else too, something in the way you're standing. Your shoulders are already trying to pull inward, but the habit resists. The weight of the cloth is teaching your body a new posture, straighter, harder. Like the rags you wore were a permission to collapse, and this black cloth is a command to stand. You reach up to touch your face. Your hand looks strange in the sleeve of the habit. It's too long. The fabric extends past your fingertips. You have to curl your fingers to see them. You look like a child playing dress-up in an adult's clothes. But you're not a child anymore. You know this, the way you know your own heartbeat, not through thought, but through a fundamental shift in how your body feels in space. The girl in the mirror doesn't look like she came from the orphanage. She looks like she came from somewhere else, somewhere harder, somewhere that expects things from her. You don't recognize her. You're terrified of her. You stay in front of the mirror for a long time, maybe minutes, maybe longer. Time feels different now. Slower and faster simultaneously. The humming of the ship's machinery fills the silence. It's a sound that will become as familiar to you as your own breathing, though you don't know that yet. It's a sound that will follow you into your nightmares for the next 25 years. The steel reflects your new face back at you, and you practice holding it. You practice not flinching. You practice being the kind of person who wears black cloth and stands straight and doesn't take up too much space, even though the habit makes you bigger. The girl in the mirror learns this too. Eventually, Sister Mordain returns. You don't know how long you've been standing there. Long enough that your feet hurt worse. Long enough that the cold of the permacrete has seeped into your bones. The others are assembled, she says. Come. You follow her. You don't look back at the mirror. You don't need to. You're already becoming the person you saw reflected there. The assembly chamber is vast, or at least it seems vast after the orphanage, after the small cells, after a life measured in cramped spaces. 69 other girls stand in rows, all of them in identical black habits, all of them looking like they don't quite fit in their own skin yet. You find your place in the row. You can feel the girl next to you breathing. She's trying not to cry. You can hear it in the way she's controlling her breath, the tiny hitches she's swallowing down. You don't try to comfort her. You've already learned that comfort is a luxury. You've learned that the girl you were this morning is gone, and the girl you're becoming doesn't have room for softness. At the front of the chamber, a figure stands on a raised platform. Sister Cassia, the one who pointed at you. She's older than Sister Mordain, with a face that looks like it was carved from the same permacrete as the walls. Her habit is identical to yours, but it hangs differently on her. Like she and the cloth have reached some kind of understanding. She doesn't smile. She looks at all of you, the way Sister Mordain looked at the defect in the machinery, with the kind of attention that notices everything and judges nothing. Because judgment implies emotion, and there is no emotion here. You are no longer orphans, Sister Cassia says. Her voice is quiet, but it fills the chamber completely. You are no longer children. You are no longer the daughters of the Imperium's failures. You are now the daughters of the Emperor, and your lives are no longer your own. The girl next to you stops trying to cry. You hear the moment the fight goes out of her. You hear the moment she accepts it. You accepted it the moment Sister Cassia pointed at you across the refectory. You accepted it when you saw yourself in the mirror. The choosing departure. The transport's hold smells like recycled air and machine oil. It smells like a place that has never known weather, never known open sky. You stand with the other 47 selected girls. All of you still wearing the new black initiate's robes that don't quite fit. All of you arranged in neat rows along the metal benches bolted to the deck. No one speaks. Even the youngest know better now. Sister Cassia stands at the head of the compartment, her massive frame silhouetted against the sealed hatch. Her bolter hangs at her hip like it weighs nothing. You've learned, in the 8 hours since you were chosen, that Sister Cassia's weight is always distributed perfectly. Nothing about her is accidental. Secure yourselves, she says. Departure in 3 minutes. The safety harnesses are stiff leather and cold steel. You pull yours across your lap and thread it through the buckle, your fingers moving with the precision that's been drilled into you since dawn. Speed and exactness, never one without the other. The girl next to you fumbles with hers. She's younger, maybe 10, and you don't help her. Sister Cassia is watching. Sister Cassia is always watching. The younger girl manages it herself, though you can see her hands shaking. 2 minutes pass in the hum of engines. You've been on transport ships before. Every orphan in the hive has, whether they remember it or not. You were born on one, or so the records said, though that's a different kind of transport. Crowded, filthy, packed with refugees from collapsed hives and failed colonies. This is something else entirely. This is a ship made for war, for purpose. The walls are reinforced ceramite. The benches are designed for soldiers. Everything here exists to move you toward violence, and you are beginning to understand that this is a kindness compared to what you've known. The engines change pitch. It's subtle at first, a vibration in your bones that you feel before you hear, then the deck tilts beneath you. The inertial dampeners whine. Your stomach lurches, and for a moment you think you might vomit, but you force it down. Vomiting is weakness. Weakness is punishment. You know this now with the same certainty. You know your name. The hold has no windows. You knew this when you boarded. The Ministorum doesn't waste resources on viewports for initiates. But there is a Vox grill in the ceiling, and through it you can hear the pilot's voice, distorted and urgent, calling out coordinates and altitude markers to something vast and invisible. The ship is climbing. The ship is leaving. You close your eyes. You don't know why. There's nothing to see here except the blank faces of the other girls and the cold geometry of the hold. But closing your eyes makes it easier to imagine what's happening outside the hull. You picture the descent platform falling away beneath you. You picture the Ministorum Cathedral spire, that black needle of stone and faith that dominated the orphanage's eastern horizon, getting smaller. You picture the hive city itself, the vast stack of industrial sprawl that has been your entire world, compressing into something toy-like and then into something theoretical. The pressure builds in your ears. The younger girl next to you whimpers. Just once. She catches herself and goes rigid, but you heard it. Everyone heard it. Sister Cassia's head turns with the precision of a targeting mechanism. The girl stares straight ahead, her jaw locked so tight you can see the muscle jumping beneath her skin. She will not cry again. The fear has learned to hide. You understand that feeling. You've been hiding fear since you were old enough to recognize it. Fear of the older orphans. Fear of the hunger days when the ration masters miscalculated. Fear of the nights when the heating failed and you huddled in the dormitory with 50 other bodies, all of you shaking, all of you pretending it was normal. Fear of the day. Sister Cassia walked through the refectory and looked at you like you were a weapon that needed testing. The ship levels out. The engines settle into a deeper hum, and the pressure in your ears releases like a held breath. You're in the black now. You're in the void. The hive world is beneath you, far beneath you, falling away into the gravity well of the planet. You know you should open your eyes. You know that showing weakness is dangerous. But for just one more moment, you let yourself imagine it. You imagine the orphanage refectory empty of your body. You imagine the cot where you slept, where 40 other girls will now sleep in shifts. You imagine the work gangs you would have joined in another year or two, the ones that broke down industrial waste for recycling, the ones that tended the fungal farms, the ones that didn't come back from the lower hives. You imagine all of that continuing without you, the way it continued when the girl who slept next to you was taken 3 months ago, the way it continued when anyone was taken. The hive is too vast. The orphanage is too full. No one is irreplaceable. Except now you are. That's what Sister Cassia said when she pointed at you. Not those words exactly, but you understood them in her silence. You are chosen. You are taken. You are no longer the Imperium's discarded daughter. You are the Emperor's instrument. The distinction should feel like elevation. Sometimes it does. Mostly it feels like a different kind of cage. You open your eyes. The hold is unchanged. The same blank walls. The same cold benches. The same 47 girls in identical black robes, all of them staring straight ahead, all of them pretending they're not terrified. But something has shifted in you. Something has clicked into place. The hive world is gone. The orphanage is gone. The person you were. The girl with no name except a registry number. The girl who was nobody's daughter is gone. Sister Cassia stands perfectly still, her hands resting on her thighs. She's not watching anymore. She's already moved on to whatever comes next. But you remember the moment her eyes found you in the refectory. You remember the feeling of being selected from the crowd, singled out by something older and harder than anything you'd known existed. You remember accepting it. You're still accepting it. The transport climbs higher, and the hive world falls further away, and the only thing that feels real anymore is the weight of your new robes and the cold metal of the safety harness against your ribs and the knowledge that you will never. The Forge. The training ship ardent. Mercy smells like recycled air and fear. Sweat. Not your sweat yet. You haven't earned that particular stench. The other 99 initiates around you are still learning what fear tastes like. It tastes like copper and bile and the faint chemical tang of the water recyclers that haven't been maintained properly in 3 decades. You stand in the assembly hall with the others, still getting used to the weight of the gray initiate robes they dressed you in after you boarded. They're too large. Everything on this ship is too large. The corridors, the vaulted ceilings, the sense of purpose that radiates from every sister who walks past. You've been here 6 hours. It feels like 6 years. Sister, Drill Morissa enters from a side passage. She moves like violence in human form. Tall, scarred down the right side of her face where a lass burn has left her skin waxy and discolored. Her black habit is pressed so sharply you could cut yourself on the creases. Her eyes are gray and they move across your ranks like a predator counting prey. She doesn't smile. You don't think she's capable of smiling anymore. You are not Sisters of Battle yet, she says. Her voice is quiet. That's the worst part. It's quiet. You are not soldiers. You are not even servants of the Imperium. You are potential. Raw material. Most of you will be discarded. She paces in front of the assembled initiates. Her footsteps echo in the metal-walled chamber. 3 of you will be discarded today. Now, actually. The Emperor does not waste time, and neither do I. She stops, points at a girl to your left, maybe 13, thin, with the kind of face that still carries childhood softness. The girl's name is Mira. You know this because she whispered it to you last night when you were both trying to sleep in the dormitory, both of you wondering if the other was as terrified. You, Morissa says. Step forward. Mira steps forward. You will run the gauntlet. 2 miles. Full speed. Full gravity. You will not stop. Mira nods. She's trying not to show fear. You can see her hands trembling. Morissa doesn't wait. She simply turns and walks toward a side corridor. Mira follows. The rest of you stand in silence. 20 minutes pass. Maybe 30. Time feels wrong here. Then you hear it. A scream. Not loud, not desperate, just a sound of pain and effort cut short. Then nothing. Morissa returns alone. She points at a boy. Older, maybe 14, with the kind of build that suggests he's never missed a meal. You. Combat test. Hand to hand. Sister Cassia will oversee it. The boy follows her. He's trying to look brave. He fails. An hour later, he's carried back on a stretcher. His left arm is bent in a way arms shouldn't bend. He's unconscious. Or maybe he's just not screaming anymore because he's learned that screaming doesn't help. Morissa points at a third initiate. Another girl, younger than you, maybe 11. Small. The kind of small that probably got her selected because she could fit in tight spaces or because someone thought her size made her expendable. You. Recitation test. The litany of hate. Full length. No errors. The girl's lips start moving immediately. You can hear her voice shaking as she begins the ancient words. Hate is the Emperor's will. The Emperor's will is eternal. Eternal is the strength of faith. She gets through maybe a quarter of it before her voice cracks. She forgets the next line. Her face goes white. She opens her mouth. Nothing comes out. "Silence," Morissa says. The girl stops. She's crying now, silent tears streaming down her face, but her body is perfectly still. "You have failed the Emperor," Morissa continues. "You will spend the next week in the punishment cells. You will have time to memorize the litany. By the time you emerge, you will understand what failure costs." 2 sisters in black armor step forward and take the girl by her arms. She doesn't resist. She just keeps crying silently as they lead her away. When the doors close behind her, Morissa turns back to the assembled initiates. "The punishment cells are below the waterline," she says. "They are cold. They are damp." The water rises and falls with the ship's bilge cycle. You will learn to hold your breath. You will learn to hold your faith. Some of you will not succeed at either. She pauses. Her gray eyes find yours for just a moment. You feel something tighten in your chest. 70 of you will leave this ship as novitiates. 30 of you will not. Some of you will be broken. Some of you will break yourselves. Some of you will simply run out of reasons to continue. She turns to leave, then stops. Training begins at dawn. Sleep, if you can. The Emperor does not grant mercy to those who are well rested. She walks away. The assembly hall empties slowly. Sisters and servitors begin moving through the ranks, directing initiates toward the dormitory. You move with them, your body on autopilot, your mind still replaying the sounds. The scream cut short, the crack of bone, the girl's silent tears. That night, you don't sleep. Neither does anyone else. You can hear it in the darkness, the soft sound of breathing held too tight, the occasional whisper of prayer, the creaking of the ship as it cuts through the void. Mira's bunk is empty now. You don't know if she's in the infirmary or the punishment cells or somewhere else entirely. You stare at the ceiling. The metal is cold. Everything here is cold. You're beginning to understand that this cold isn't a temperature. It's a state of being. It's what you become when you accept that you might not survive this. That survival might not even be the point. You think about the hive world falling away beneath you. You think about Sister Cassia's eyes finding you in the refectory. You think about accepting this, about the fact that you're still accepting it, even now. The punishment cells are below the waterline. The water rises and falls. You will learn to hold your breath. You understand now. The choosing was just the forge, the litany. The morning bell tolls before dawn. You don't sleep anymore, not really. Sleep is something that happened to the orphan you were. Now you exist in the spaces between exhaustion and function, a state Sister Morissa seems to have engineered specifically to break down whatever you were before. Your legs burn as you run the circuit. The training grounds of the Shola Progenium stretch across the upper halves of the fortress monastery, a vast gray expanse of ferrocrete scarred with the footprints of 10,000 initiates before you. The wind cuts through thin fabric. Your breath comes in ragged gasps. Around you, 70 other girls, some younger, most your age, a few older, pound the circuit in formation. Their feet strike the ground in almost rhythm. Almost. Sister! Morissa runs alongside you, her black habit somehow pristine despite the pace, her voice cutting through the wind like a blade. Recite, she commands. Your lungs are already screaming. You've been running for what feels like hours but is probably only 30 minutes. Time moves differently here. Time is a tool for breaking you. You open your mouth. The words, come. They've been drilling them into your skull since the moment you arrived, before the robes, before the bolter training, before anything else. The litany of hate. The foundational prayer. The thing that separates you from the weak. I hate the alien, you gasp. Your voice cracks. Around you, the other girls' voices join yours, a ragged chorus. I hate the heretic. I hate the mutant. I hate. Your foot catches on a crack in the ferrocrete. You stumble. For a moment you think you'll fall, and falling means the punishment cells, and you've heard what the punishment cells are like. But your body rights itself through some mechanism that isn't conscious anymore. Your body is learning faster than your mind. Louder, Marissa says. She's not even breathing hard. The Emperor does not hear whispers. I hate the alien, you scream. Your voice breaks on the last word. The girl next to you. Her name is Kess, you think, though you're not supposed to use names. You're supposed to use squad positions, stumbles and falls. You watch her go down. You keep running. You have to keep running. Stopping means weakness. Weakness means the cells. The cells mean. You don't know what the cells mean. No one talks about the girls who come out of them. Or if they do, they don't do it where you can hear. 3 initiates broke today. That's what the dormitory whispers said. 3 in the first day. Marissa took them to the punishment cells herself, and you heard them screaming, and then you didn't hear them anymore, and now there are 67 of you instead of 70. The litany continues. Your lungs are raw. There's a taste of copper in your mouth, blood, or just the taste of effort. You can't tell anymore. I hate the Xenos, you chant. I hate the daemon. I hate the false emperor's servants. I hate the weak. I hate the weakness. That's what they call it. That's what you're supposed to hate. And the irony is that you're so weak right now. Your legs are moving because they're moving, not because you're commanding them. Your voice is speaking because it's speaking. You're a machine that hasn't learned. It's a machine yet. The sun is rising. The fortress monastery rises around you, massive black stone and iron, carved with the likenesses of saints you don't recognize yet. You'll memorize their names. You'll memorize everything. This is what Shola Progenium does. It takes what you are and replaces it with what you need to be. The litany is your heartbeat, Marissa says, and she's right beside you now, her voice almost gentle. This is worse than when she's cruel. Gentleness here is a knife. When your body fails, the litany carries you. When your mind breaks, the litany rebuilds it. The words are your skeleton. The Emperor is your flesh. Run. You run. The circuit blurs. You've lost track of how many times you've gone around. The girl who fell, Kess, is gone now. Someone dragged her off the circuit. You don't know if she's alive or if she's just stopped existing. Both feel possible. Your lungs don't burn anymore. That's because you've stopped feeling the burning. Pain is information, and your body has learned to stop processing information that doesn't help you survive the next minute. This is adaptation. This is evolution. This is what it means to become a sister of battle. I hate the weakness in my flesh, you hear yourself say. The words aren't coming from your conscious mind anymore. They're coming from something deeper, something that's learning to live in this cold. I hate the doubt in my heart. I hate the mercy in my soul. I hate. You hate yourself. The realization doesn't shock you. It's just true. The orphan. You were hated, you too. That's why she accepted the choosing without resistance. That's why she didn't cry when Sister Cassia pointed. Some part of you has always known that you were meant for this, for breaking, for rebuilding, for becoming something hard enough to survive in a galaxy that devours the soft. The bell tolls again. The run ends. You don't notice when it happens. Your body just stops moving, and you're standing on the ferrocrete, and your lungs are still screaming, and the other girls are collapsing around you. Some of them are weeping. You're not. You stopped having tears around the third circuit. Marissa walks past you. She doesn't look at you, but you feel her attention like a weight. Tomorrow, she says to all of you. We run further, and you will run faster. Because the Emperor demands it. Because your sisters demand it. Because you demand it of yourselves. You understand now. The litany isn't something you're learning. It's something you're becoming. Every repetition stitches it deeper into your nervous system. Every breath you take while screaming the words rewires your brain. By the time you leave this place, if you leave this place, you won't be able to separate yourself from the hate. It will be your heartbeat. It will be your breath. It will be the only thing keeping you alive when everything else fails. You stand in the cold morning air, and you, the Forge, First Blood, understand now. The litany isn't something you're learning. It's something you're becoming. 3 months have passed like this. 3 months of pre-dawn darkness, and Sister Marissa's voice like a whip made of scripture. 3 months of your body learning to betray its own weakness. You've stopped counting the initiates who broke in those first weeks. The ones who couldn't hold the pace, couldn't swallow the hate, couldn't become what the Imperium demands. Some were sent back to the hives. Some weren't sent anywhere. The punishment cells stay full. You're not one of them. Not yet. Today is different. You can feel it in the way the other initiates move, the suppressed electricity under their skin. Today, you shoot. The range sits 3 levels below the training halls, carved into the hive's bones. Raw rockreed walls sweat with moisture that never quite dries. Industrial lights hum overhead, casting everything in a sickly yellow that makes your eyes water. 50 firing stations. 50 targets. 50 girls who've never held a bolter in their lives. Sister Marissa stands at the center of the range like a monument to immovable certainty. Her black habit hangs perfectly straight. Not a thread out of place. Not a hair visible beneath her coif. She holds a bolter in one hand, the way other women hold prayer beads. "You will fire," she says. Her voice doesn't need to be loud. The range swallows sound and amplifies command. You will not flinch. You will not hesitate. You will not question. The bolter is the Emperor's will made manifest. When you pull the trigger, you are pulling the trigger of God himself. She raises the bolter. The movement is economical, practiced, perfect. She aims at a target 50 meters distant, a silhouette of a human figure painted in the colors of heresy. Red, gold, the colors of false gods. She fires. The report echoes through the range like a physical thing, a hammer blow that rattles your sternum. The bolter round screams downrange. The impact on the target is catastrophic. The center mass doesn't just perforate. It explodes, the silhouette's torso obliterated into confetti. Marissa doesn't lower the weapon. Doesn't blink. Doesn't acknowledge the violence she's just committed. "This is mercy," she says. "This is justice. This is the Emperor's love." She sets the bolter on the firing stand with the same reverence a priest might set down a chalice. "Load your weapons!" 49 other girls move in synchronized chaos. You move with them. The bolter feels wrong in your hands, too heavy, too aggressive, like holding something alive and furious. The magazines are heavy. Inserting one into the well requires all your strength. The weapon resists, and then suddenly accepts it with a satisfying click that sends a spike of adrenaline up your spine. This is real now. This is not training. This is the machine you've been assembled to become, and it's about to fire. "Adopt firing position," Marissa says. "Chamber rounds. Do not fire until commanded." You step to your station. The firing line stretches before you. 49 girls in identical gray initiates robes, all holding bolters for the first time. Some of them are shaken. You can see it in their hands. The bolters quiver like leaves in wind. You're not shaking. You don't know why. Perhaps it's because you've already died once. The moment Sister Cassia pointed at you across the refectory, the moment you left the orphanage behind, the moment you put on these robes, everything after that is afterlife. Everything after that is already borrowed time. You chamber around. The mechanical action is smooth, deliberate. You hear it echo down the line. 49 bolts sliding home, 49 weapons primed. The sound is almost liturgical. Targets are heretics, Maurissa says. Targets are enemies of the Imperium. Targets are lies given flesh. Targets are Xenos. Targets are demonic. Targets are chaos. She walks down the line slowly. Her footsteps are measured, deliberate. She pauses at each station, assessing posture, grip, breathing. When she reaches you, she stops. You feel her looking at you, though you keep your eyes forward, locked on the red and gold silhouette waiting to be unmade. You, she says, the orphan girl. What is your name? Initiate. 7, sister, you say. Your voice is steady. You don't know how it's steady, but it is. Do you believe the Emperor will guide your shot? Yes, sister. Do you believe the heretic deserves death? Yes, sister. Do you believe you are capable of delivering it? You hesitate. Not long. Just a breath, but long enough for something to shift. I don't know, sister, you say. She's quiet for a moment. You think she might strike you. She might order you to the punishment cells. She might do any number of things. Instead, she leans close. You can smell the recaf on her breath, bitter and burnt. Good, she whispers. The moment you know, you're already dead. Now fire. She moves on. You raise the bolter. The weapon is impossibly heavy. Your arms scream. You've done 10,000 repetitions of this motion. Dry fire drills, muscle memory work, the endless conditioning. But your body still rebels against the weight, still wants to lower it, still wants to refuse. You don't lower it. The sight picture aligns. The heretic's silhouette waits. You can see the imperfections in the target, the paint chipped in places, the paper worn thin where countless rounds have perforated it. This target has died 1,000 times. This target will die 1,000 times more. Maurissa's voice cuts across the range. Fire! Your finger moves. The bolter detonates. Reality breaks. The recoil doesn't just push back. It doesn't just shove your shoulder. It explodes through you. A violence so complete, so absolute, that for a moment you can't tell if you've been shot or if you've fired. Your shoulder joint doesn't dislocate gradually. It pops with a sensation like a branch snapping, a rupture of bone. The forge ceremony! The chapel smells like incense and old stone. Machine incense, really. The kind pumped through vents by servitors who haven't thought a conscious thought in decades. It coats your throat, makes everything taste like burnt copper and devotion. You kneel on cold floor with 69 others. 70. That number sits in your chest like a stone. A year ago, there were 100. The chapel is vast, in the way Adeptus Ministorum architecture always is, not just big, but deliberately overwhelming. The ceiling rises so far you can't see where it ends. Shadows pool in the corners like standing water. Candles flicker in iron sconces, their light making the shadows dance. A single aquila hangs above the altar, vast and black, wings spread wide enough to eclipse the emperor himself if he were to stand beneath it. You've been here every day for a year, prayers at dawn, liturgies at midday, midnight vigils when Sister Maurissa felt particularly inspired by the emperor's judgment. But today feels different. Today the chapel is full. The other Ministorum sisters file in. Not your handlers, not the ones who broke you. These are the real sisters. The ones who've already taken their vows. The ones who've been to war. You can tell by the way they move. There's no wasted motion, no hesitation. Their black habits are spotless, pressed into sharp lines that could cut. Their faces are weathered in ways that have nothing to do with age. One of them catches your eye as she passes. Her left eye is scarred shut, pale tissue running from temple to jaw. She doesn't smile. She just nods fractionally and keeps walking. You don't know why, but that nod means more to you than any word of encouragement anyone has ever spoken. The canoness enters last. She's old, older than you thought anyone could be, and still move with that kind of authority. Her face is a map of scars and certainty. Her hair is white, braided back with silver thread. She wears the full regalia, black habit, the crimson cloak of her office, the ebon Aquila pendant that marks her as the highest authority in this convent. She carries a staff topped with a stylized flame, and when she plants it on the stone floor, the sound echoes through the chapel like a heartbeat. Everyone kneels deeper. You follow the motion without thinking. Your knees find the same cold stone they've found every day for 12 months. The pain is familiar now. Old friends, your knees and the pain. Sisters in waiting, the canoness says. Her voice doesn't raise. It doesn't need to. It's the kind of voice that carries because the world is obligated to listen. You have been tested. You have been found wanting. You have been broken and remade in the image of our Emperor's holy will. 30 of you are crying silently. You can hear them breathing. The hitching gasps of girls who still haven't learned to swallow their tears. You're not one of them. You stopped crying weeks ago. It was inefficient. It clouded your aim. 30 of you will not proceed, the canoness continues. She's reading from a scroll now, names listed in careful calligraphy. With each name, a girl stands and walks to the side of the chapel. They don't cry anymore either. They've already cried. They've already known. The canoness has already sent them notices, slim pieces of parchment sealed with wax, delivered in the pre-dawn darkness. You saw Sister Vex receive hers 3 days ago. She'd folded it carefully and placed it in her bunk before walking to the furnace. You'd watched her feed it to the flames herself. Dignity, even in failure. Your name doesn't come. When the last of the rejected have been taken away to other duties, you've heard, other lives within the Ministorum, but you don't believe that, and neither do they. The canoness sets down her scroll. 70 of you remain. She pauses. 70 of you have proven that you will not break, that you will not question, that you will not fail when the Emperor's enemies stand before you. The canoness raises her hand. Sisters move forward, carrying stacks of folded fabric. Black. Pure black, darker than the shadows in the chapel corners. Darker than the space between stars. You will shed the white of your initiation. You will take the black of the novitiate. You will wear it as a second skin. You will wear it until it is stained with heretic blood, or until you join the Emperor in his distant throne. There is no third option. They hand out the habits one by one. You receive yours from a sister whose name you've never learned. The fabric is heavy, heavier than you expected. It's real in a way. The white robes never were. The white robes felt like a costume, like something a child wears to play at being holy. The black habit feels like a promise, feels like a contract written in thread. You change where you kneel. The white robes fall away. Your skin is pale beneath. You haven't seen sunlight in a year. You look down at your own arms, and they seem to belong to someone else. thin, scarred. The burns from the range are still visible, white lines where the bolter's heat found bare skin. The bruises from hand-to-hand training have mostly faded, but you can still see the shadows of them, like memories printed on your flesh. The black habit slides over your head. It settles against your shoulders like a weight you've been carrying all along and have only now become aware of. You stand with the others, 69 sisters in black, 70 with you. You're looking at them and they're looking at you, and for the first time since you arrived at the convent, you understand what you've become. It's not a sudden revelation. It's not spiritual. It's practical. You look at their faces and you see your own. The same hardness, the same emptiness, the same absolute certainty that there is no other choice but forward. The canoness steps down from the altar. She moves between the rows, and when she reaches you, she stops. Her scarred face is close enough that you can see the individual scars, each one a story you'll never know. She reaches out and touches your forehead with one finger, a gesture that might be blessing or might be branding. What is your name, child? You open your mouth to answer and realize you can't.
Blood and faith.
The restraint harness bites into your shoulders as the drop pod shudders. Around you, 9 other sisters grip the safety rails with white knuckles, their black habits already soaked through with sweat that has nothing to do with the heat. Not yet. You've been a novitiate for 14 months. You've learned to field strip a bolter in the dark. You've memorized the litanies of hate until they replaced your dreams. You've watched Sister Morissa break another initiate's arm for improper genuflection and felt nothing but the cold calculation that you would not be the one broken. But you have never left the fortress monastery. You have never left atmosphere. You have never been dropped into a war. The vox crackles with static and then the voice of Pilot. Adept Kess, flat and mechanical. Drop sequence initiated. Kesh Prime orbital assault. Contact in 90 seconds. 90 seconds. The pod lurches. Your teeth clack together hard enough that you taste copper. Beside you, Sister Thane closes her eyes and begins to whisper the litany of the drop. Her lips move soundlessly at first, then louder. Around the pod, others join in. The words stack on top of each other. A wall of prayer pressed against the screaming metal. By the Emperor's will we descend. By his grace we strike. By his light we are shielded. You don't join them. You watch the walls of the drop pod. The temperature gauge above the sealed hatch climbs. 40 degrees. 50. The metal begins to glow amber at the edges. 60. The walls shift from gray to a dull red, like the inside of a mouth. 70. Your eyes water from the heat radiating off the bulkheads. The sisters' prayers have become a chant now, desperate and rhythmic, and you realize that fear sounds like faith when you're falling from the sky. 80 degrees! The pod screams. It's not a metaphor. The friction of atmospheric entry produces a sound like something alive and suffering. The entire structure vibrates at a frequency that makes your teeth ache, that makes your vision blur. Your hands grip the rails so hard your fingernails draw blood from your own palms. Around you, Sisters Thane and Kess and Mordain and Vex, you've trained with them for over a year. You've knelt beside them in the chapel. You've watched them perform the daily rituals of the order. And now they are just shapes in the red darkness, stripped down to animal terror. The heat is beyond comprehension now. It's not something you feel anymore. It's something you are. The air in your lungs tastes like burning metal. Sweat pours down your face and evaporates before it can reach your neck. Your black habit clings to your skin like a second layer of scalded flesh. 95 degrees. 100. 30 seconds, Pilot, Adept Kess says, and his voice doesn't waver. You wonder if he's dropped 1,000 pods. If the screaming becomes normal. If You stop hearing it. Sister Vex opens her eyes and looks directly at you. She's younger than you. Only 16, taken from a hive world 3 months ago. Her face is gray with fear and the reflected heat, and she mouths something at you. Not a prayer. Your name. You nod at her because that's all you can do. The pod levels out. The screaming pitch changes to something slightly less catastrophic, and your stomach lurches because you understand what that means. You're entering the lower atmosphere. You're almost there. Almost to the ground. Almost to the shooting. The altimeter display shows 8,000 meters. 7,500. The heat begins to fade incrementally, and with it comes a terrible clarity. You can see their faces now. You can see the way Sister Mordane's eye twitches. The way Sister Kess, no relation to the pilot, keeps swallowing like her throat is closing. The way Sister Thane has stopped praying and is just staring at the hatch, waiting for it to open. Waiting for the war. 5,000 meters. You feel something crystallize in your chest. Not courage. You've read enough of the Martyrologium to know what courage looks like, and this isn't it. It's something else. Something harder and colder. An absence of alternative. You are in a metal box falling from the sky, and in approximately 60 seconds, that box will open, and you will either kill or be killed. There is no third option. There has never been a third option, not since Sister Cassia pointed at you across the refectory when you were 12 years old and your old life ended. 2,000 meters. Lock and load, Sister, Sergeant Vex says. Not the young initiate, the squad leader. Her voice is steady as bedrock. You reach down and press the activation rune on your bolter. The weapon hums to life, its machine spirit stirring. The magazine clicks into place with a satisfying finality. Around you, 9 other bolters charge simultaneously. The sound is like a prayer spoken in unison. 1,000 meters. The pod shudders once, twice. The deceleration thrusters fire, and you're pressed upward against the restraint harness. Your vision grays at the edges. The temperature alarm cuts out. The red walls fade to orange, then yellow, then normal metal gray. The retro thrusters scream their final song. And then, silence. For half a second, there is perfect silence. The kind of silence that doesn't exist in the fortress monastery, that doesn't exist in the hive world you came from. The kind of silence that only exists in the moment between one life and another. Then the hatch detonates outward. Light floods in. Alien light. Not the cold, fluorescent glow of the monastery or the sulfurous haze of the hive. Real sunlight filtered through smoke and dust. You smell promethium and burning earth and something else, something organic and wrong. Heretic blood, you will learn. But you don't know that yet. Move, move, move! Sister. Sergeant Vex is out first, her bolter already tracking targets. You follow, your legs unsteady, your inner ear screaming that up is down and down is sideways. Your boots hit ground that is still warm from the pod's entry. Your first step on Kesh Prime. The boots hit ground that is still warm from the pod's entry. Your first step on Kesh Prime. The air tastes like copper and char. Sister. Sergeant Vex's vox crackles. Spread out? 2-meter intervals. Watch the ruins. Her voice is calm, clinical, the voice of someone who has done this 100 times. You are not calm. Your hands shake as you grip your bolter, still new enough that the grip feels foreign, the weight distributed wrong compared to the practice rifles back at the monastery. This is real. This is real. This is... Gunfire erupts from the collapsed structure to your left. Not the sharp crack of lasguns. Something deeper, meaner. Autocannon fire that stitches a line through the adobe wall 2 meters from your position. You dive without thinking, muscle memory from drills overriding the scream in your chest. Your shoulder hits the ground hard. Pain blooms. You ignore it. Contact! 2 o'clock! Return fire! Vex is moving already, her bolter tracking upward to a shattered window 3 stories up. She fires. The bolter's report is enormous. It fills your skull, drowns out thought. The recoil kicks her shoulder, but she's braced for it, trained for it. She fires again. The 3rd shot catches something. Someone. A figure topples from the window frame, tumbling through air in that slow, inevitable way that means they are dead or will be very soon. You raise your bolter. Your sights find the window. There, movement, a muzzle flash. Another heretic, trying to acquire a target on Sister Marta to your right. You line up the shot the way Drill Sergeant Morissa taught you, the way you've done 10,000 times on the range. Exhale. Squeeze. Don't anticipate the recoil. The bolter bucks against your shoulder. The round travels downrange in that fraction of a second that feels eternal. Through your sights, you see it impact, not the heretic. The wall beside him. Stone and dust erupt. You've missed. Of course you've missed. You've never fired at a moving target. You've never fired at anything that could shoot back. But the heretic is already moving, diving away from the window. You fire again. Again. Your shoulder is screaming now. Each recoil a fresh jolt of pain radiating down your arm, but you keep firing because stopping means thinking, and thinking means dying. The heretic emerges from the building's side entrance, 30 meters out, running for the rubble field. His weapon is raised. He's trying to get an angle on Sister Sergeant Vex. You see it happening in slow motion, even though it's occurring at full speed. Your bolter is already tracking. You fire. This time, you see the round strike true. It catches him center mass. The bolter round doesn't wound, it erases. His torso simply ceases to be, replaced by a cavity of red that was a man a moment ago. The top half of him keeps running for 2 more steps before the rest of him understands it's dead. He collapses into the dust. Silence. Not quiet. Your ears are ringing. The world sounds like you're underwater, but the absence of gunfire. Clear, Sister Marta shouts from your right. Sector 2, clear. Hold position, Vex commands. Novitiate, you took that shot? You nod. You can't speak. Your hands are shaking so badly you nearly drop the bolter. Good. He was about to flank me. She glances at you for exactly 1 second. Hold your fire discipline. Every round counts out here. That's it. That's all she says. No congratulations. No acknowledgement that you just killed something. A human being, heretic or not, they were human once. And you erased them from existence, and it rates a note about ammunition discipline. But as you're checking your mag count, as you're moving to the next firing position, as the adrenaline begins to drain from your system like water through a sieve, something else happens. Something you don't have words for yet. You feel it, not in your body, deeper, in the space behind your ribs where Sister Instructor Cassia always said, faith lives, a warmth, a presence. The sense of something vast and ancient and utterly approving, looking down through the smoke and dust and seeing you, really seeing you, and nodding. The Emperor is watching. The Emperor is pleased. You understand, in that moment, why the Sisters of Battle exist. Not as some abstract theological concept drummed into you during catechism, but as a fact. A lived fact. The weapon works. The faith works. The two together. The bolter and the prayer. The trigger and the belief. They work. You will kill many more times after this. Hundreds of times. Thousands. The sensation will fade as routine sets in, as the killing becomes as mundane as breathing. But this first time, this moment when a heretic falls to your bolter and the Emperor's presence floods through you like sunlight through stained glass, this moment will never fade. You didn't know it then, but this is the moment you stop being a novitiate playing at war. This is the moment the Emperor claims you. This is the moment you begin to die. But you don't know that yet. You only know the warmth. You only know the certainty. You only know that you have found your purpose, and your purpose is to kill in the name of the Imperium of Man. Sister! Sergeant Vex is already moving toward the next objective. You follow, bolter raised, heart steady, faith hardening into something that feels like steel. The first heretic is still bleeding into the dust behind you. You don't look back. Blood and faith, the bleeding. The dust tastes like copper and promethium. You've been tasting it for 6 hours now, or is it 7? Time moves strangely in the killing grounds of Kesh Prime. It moves in the spaces between heartbeats, in the reload cycles of your bolter, in the screams that cut off abruptly when the heretics realize they're already dead. Your squad has pushed deeper into the Hive City than Command intended. Sister. Sergeant Vex doesn't acknowledge the Vox chatter asking for your position. She hasn't acknowledged anything for the last 2 hours, except the next doorway, the next corridor, the next cluster of cultists who die the moment they see black armor and faith made manifest. You follow because following is what you do now. You are 3 years into your service. The softness of the orphanage, the thin gruel, the cold stone floors, the whispered prayers before sleep. That was someone else's life. That was a child who didn't understand that mercy was a luxury the Imperium couldn't afford. That child is dead. You killed her the day Sister Cassia pointed across the refectory, and your stomach dropped, and your old life ended. Now you are something else. Now you are a weapon with a heartbeat and a faith that burns hotter than the plasma vents that line this cursed industrial sector. The heretics are getting braver. Or more desperate. You can't tell anymore. 3 weeks of grinding warfare has blurred the distinction between courage and suicidal fanaticism. They throw themselves at your squad in waves, poorly armed cultists and corrupted PDF soldiers, their eyes glazed with something that isn't quite human. You've learned to aim for the center mass. You've learned to reload while moving. You've learned that hesitation is a luxury that gets your sisters killed. Sister Vex is ahead of you, always ahead. She moves through the Hive City like she's reading a scripture written in blood and fire. Her bolter doesn't miss. You've never seen her hesitate. You've never seen her afraid. She's 42 years old, ancient by the standards of the Order Militant, and she carries herself like she's already spent her life and is living on borrowed time. There's a scar that runs from her left temple to her jaw, a souvenir from Iridian Nye. She never speaks about it. She only shoots. The corridor opens into a Hab block's central atrium. 15 stories of residential cells, stacked like a tomb. The cultists have fortified it. Crude barricades, sandbags, a heavy bolter mounted on the 2nd level. It's a trap. You know it's a trap. Sister Vex knows it's a trap. She walks into it anyway because the Emperor's will doesn't negotiate with tactical disadvantage. The heavy bolter opens fire. The world becomes percussion. Deafening, rhythmic percussion. Your ears ring even through the protective plugs. The bolter rounds punch through the barricade like it's made of paper. Sister Marta goes down. Her left leg simply ceases to exist below the knee. She doesn't scream. None of you scream. You're trained better than that. She drags herself behind a collapsed Hab unit and starts applying a tourniquet with the same methodical precision she'd used to field strip her weapon. Sister Vex is already moving. She signals 3 sharp hand motions and your squad fragments. You follow her toward the eastern stairwell while the other two sisters lay suppressive fire. Your bolter barks in your hands, kicking against your shoulder. The recoil is familiar now. It no longer dislocates anything. Your body has hardened into something that can absorb punishment. The stairwell is narrow. The steps are slick with something organic. You don't look down. Sister Vex is ahead of you, taking the stairs 3 at a time. Her breathing is steady. Her aim is steady. You are learning steadiness from her, absorbing it like a ritual. The second-level landing opens into a corridor lined with ammunition crates and sleeping pallets. The cultists here are caught between fleeing and fighting. They choose poorly. Sister Vex's bolter round takes the first one in the chest. You take the second. Sister Aurelia, younger than you, still prone to hesitation, takes the third, though her shot is high and messy. The heretic falls anyway. Dead is dead. The heavy bolter stops firing. Reloading. 15 seconds. Maybe 20. You use them to move deeper into the hab block, following Sister Vex toward the gun emplacement. Your heart is steady. Your breathing is controlled. This is what you trained for. This is what the Emperor made you for. Sister Vex reaches the heavy bolter first. The cultist manning it tries to reposition. She shoots him twice, once in the head, once in the chest, redundancy born from experience. She grabs the gun and wrenches it from its mounting. It's heavy. You can see the strain in her shoulders, but her face doesn't change. "Fall back," she vox casts. Her voice is calm, almost bored. They're pushing reinforcements from the north sector. You're already moving. The stairs. Down. Down. The atrium. Sister Marta is still applying pressure to her wound. Her face is gray. Shock or blood loss or both. You grab her arm, not gently, because gentle won't get her out of here alive, and help her up. She weighs nothing. Everything weighs nothing when you're running on faith and adrenaline and the certainty that the Emperor sees everything you do. The corridor back toward the entry point is suddenly very long. Your legs burn, your lungs burn. The taste of copper is back in your mouth, mixing with the taste of recaf and stimulant tabs. Sister Vex is ahead, always ahead, the heavy bolter cradled in her arms like a child. Behind you, you hear bolter fire. The reinforcements. They're faster than expected. Sister Aurelia screams, "You don't stop!" You can't stop. Sister Vex doesn't stop. The only mercy you can give is to keep moving, to get to the extraction point, to survive so her death means something. That's what you tell yourself. That's what you've learned to believe. The Hive City exterior is chaos. The Thunderhawk is waiting, its engines screaming. You practically throw Sister Marta into the cargo hold. Sister Vex is already aboard, already covering the landing zone. You turn back, looking for Sister Aurelia, and that's when you see her. Blood and faith, the grinding. The extraction ship's cargo hold smells like promethium and blood. Your blood. Sister Vex's blood. Sister Aurelia's blood. What's left of her is wrapped in a white shroud that's already turning red at the edges. The Thunderhawk's engines don't drown out the sound of her final breath, the one you heard as the ramp sealed shut. They never drown it out. You sit on the ribbed metal floor with your bolter across your knees. Your hands won't stop shaking, not from fear, from the weight of the trigger, from the understanding that your finger is stronger than mercy. Sister Marta sits across from you. She's staring at nothing. There's a plasma burn across her left arm, the kind that doesn't heal clean. The kind that leaves you wondering if the Emperor's light still reaches into the scar tissue. "We made it," Sister Vex says. She's checking ammunition counts, her jaw working through prayers under her breath. "We made it out." You don't answer because you know what she means. Not wheat, wheaty. The three of you. 72 sisters deployed to Kesh Prime. 23 returned. The Thunderhawk carries what's left of the rest in body bags and shrouds. The ship banks hard. Your stomach lurches. Through the narrow viewport, you catch a glimpse of the Hive City receding below, all burning edges and collapsing spires. The heretics are probably still down there, probably celebrating, probably already spreading their lies to the next settlement, the next tab block, the next 1,000 souls who'll choose damnation over the light. 3 days later, you're deployed again. The transit ship carrying your new squad is smaller than the first, older. The prayer servitors bolted to the bulkhead recite the litany of hate in voices like grinding stone, and you find yourself moving your lips with the words, not because you believe them anymore, because the rhythm keeps you from thinking. Sister Cassia, not your original squad leader, but the one who survived, briefs you on the descent. Hive Mortis, a different world. Same objective, purge the heretic. Same odds, most of you won't come home. You don't listen to the specific details. They don't matter. The details never matter. What matters is the weight of the bolter, the temperature of the trigger, the moment when you stop seeing faces and start seeing targets. The drop pod screams through atmosphere again. Red heat, groaning metal, your stomach in your throat. Sister Cassia grips the safety rail. Sister Marta closes her eyes. A new sister. You never learn her name, vomits into a waste receptacle. The impact throws you sideways. The pod's exterior is still radiating heat when the assault ramp blows open. You're moving before the dust settles. You're moving because standing still means dying. You're moving because the prayer is in your muscles now, carved into the space between your ribs. The Hive City exterior is industrial decay, corroded metal, leaking pipes. Centuries of filth layered on top of centuries of filth. The heretics have fortified this position. You can see the barricades, the firing positions, the zealous defiance of the damned. Sister Cassia points. You move. Your squad spreads into a firing line. The bolters come up as one. For a moment, just a moment, you hesitate. You think about Sister Aurelia, about the way her eyes went distant when the shrapnel took her. Then you pull the trigger. The recoil is familiar now. Your shoulder has learned to absorb it. The bolter round travels faster than thought and hits a heretic in the chest. He goes down. You don't watch to see if he stays down. You're already moving to the next target, the next trigger pull, the next prayer. This is what war becomes, not the grand narratives they taught you in the Schola, not the stories of heroic last stands and glorious martyrdom. This is the repetition, the grinding, the moment when killing becomes as automatic as breathing. Hours pass, or days. Time moves differently in combat. Your perception stretches and compresses. You're aware of everything and nothing. You're aware of Sister Cassia on your left flank, aware of the heretic round that grazes your pauldron, aware of the strange clarity that comes when you stop being afraid and start being mechanical. Your ammunition counter reads 22 rounds, then 16, then 4. You're moving through a collapsed corridor. The walls are painted with old blood, new blood, indistinguishable blood. Sister Marta is ahead of you, and then she's not. She's on the ground. There's a heretic standing over her. You don't think. You don't pray. You move forward, and your bolter fires, and the heretic ceases to exist. Sister Marta looks up at you. There's gratitude in her eyes. Gratitude and something else. Something like the understanding that you've both crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. We need to move, Sister Cassia says over the vox. Her voice is steady, professional, empty. You move. Days blur into weeks. Your squad is rotated through different sectors, different hives, different cities. The heretics all look the same. The killing all feels the same. Your faith, the thing that burned so bright in the Shola, the thing that felt like the Emperor's hand on your shoulder, becomes something different. It becomes muscle memory. It becomes the rhythm of the trigger, the prayer you don't have to think about, the certainty that this is right because you've been told it's right. And questioning it would mean questioning everything, and if you question everything, you'll stop moving, and if you stop moving, you'll die. A sister dies. You don't remember her name. There's a replacement. She dies too. You keep moving. Your bolter jams. You clear it. Your bolter fires. You keep moving. Sister Cassia is hit, not fatally. A last round through the meat of her thigh. She doesn't scream. She doesn't stop. She keeps moving, and you keep moving, and the Emperor demands the price of heretics, and the price is paid in rounds and blood and the names of the dead. One night, or what passes for night in the hive, the artificial cycle of the servitors' prayer bells, you sit in a cramped barracks with Sister Vex and Sister Marta. There's recaf. It tastes the eternal vigil. The recaf tastes like rust and regret. You've tasted it 10,000 times, maybe more. You've stopped counting years the way civilians do by winters or harvests. You count in campaigns, and sisters lost, in the slow accumulation of scars that map a life spent in service to a God who never answers. Your hands shake as you lift the cup. Not from fear, from the tremor that comes now, permanent as a second heartbeat. Sister Vex notices. She doesn't comment. That's mercy in its way. Your shoulder again? Sister Marta asks. She's young. 30, maybe. To you, everyone is young now. You don't answer. Your shoulder hasn't been right since Kesh Prime. That was? How long ago? 15 years? The bolt round went through cleanly enough, but something in the joint never quite set proper. On cold mornings, and there are always cold mornings in the hives, it aches down to the bone. Vex shifts on the bench. The metal groans. Everything in the barracks groans. The walls sweat. The air tastes like recycled breath and machine oil and the faint copper undertone of blood that never quite washes out of stone. You've been in worse barracks. You've been in trenches that were worse. You've been in places where the only shelter was the bodies of your sisters stacked like cordwood, still warm, still useful as a windbreak. They're calling you the Ancient One again, Marta says. She's trying to make conversation, trying to normalize this moment of rest. Rest is dangerous. Rest is when you remember things you've trained yourself to forget. Let them, you say. Your hair went white 5 years ago. You were 32. The medics said it was stress. The medics were idiots. They had soft hands and had never held a sister while she died of wounds that wouldn't close. You know what turned your hair white. It was the day on Hive Mortis when the bombardment started and didn't stop. 3 hours of artillery. 3 hours of the ground becoming liquid and the sky becoming fire. And your squad, your whole squad becoming something that didn't fit in the collection bags anymore. You were the only one who came out of that particular hell with all her limbs attached. The Emperor provides, they said. The Emperor is watching over you, they said. The Emperor has a plan. You've learned not to say what you actually think about the Emperor's plan. Vex drinks her recaf in small, careful sips. There's a scar on her neck, a last burn from 3 months ago that came close to the artery. Too close. She bled enough that you thought she was done. But she wasn't done. Sisters of battle don't get to be done until command says so, until the enemy is dead or you are. The new initiates are terrified of you, Marta says. This is true. You've seen them stare when you walk past, seen them whisper. The Ancient One. the one who held the corridor on Mortis, the one who didn't die when she should have. They don't understand that you're not special. You're just stubborn, just unlucky, just good at the particular skill of not being in exactly the right place at exactly the right time to catch a bolter round or a daemon's claw or a collapsing ceiling. It's not heroism. It's mathematics, probability played out across decades. Eventually, if you survive long enough, you become a ghost. You become a story. You become the thing younger sisters fear, because you're a mirror of what they might become if they don't catch a bullet soon.
Let them be terrified,
you say. Terrified keeps you alive. Vex sets down her cup. Her hand is steady. You notice these things about people now? The tremors, the hesitations, the tells that say how much longer they have? Vex has maybe 2 years. 3 if she's lucky. There's a tightness around her eyes that comes from accumulated pain, from the knowledge that the body can only take so much before it starts failing in ways that can't be repaired. Do you ever regret it? Marta asks. The question comes out small. Young, taking the oath. You should lie. You should give her the approved answer. The faith sustains all. The Emperor guides our hands. We are blessed to serve. You've said these things 10,000 times. You've almost believed them. No, you say. And it's true, but not in the way she means. You don't regret the oath because regret is a luxury. You made a choice at 12 years old when Sister Cassia pointed at you across the refectory and your stomach dropped, and you understood in that moment that your life was no longer yours. You were never going to be a factory worker. You were never going to have children. You were never going to grow old in any normal sense of the word. You were going to become this, a weapon, a prayer made flesh, a woman whose hair goes white at 32 and whose hands shake and whose shoulder aches and who can still field strip a bolter in the dark and still kill with absolute precision and still walk into a hive that's falling apart and hold a corridor alone for hours while everything burns. There's no regret in that. There's only the simple fact of it. The way a stone doesn't regret being stone, the way a bolter doesn't regret firing. You finish your recalf. Outside, the hive bells toll, not the gentle bells of the orphanage where you were born. These are deep bells, industrial bells, the sound of servitors marking time in a city that never truly sleeps. The sound of the Imperium's vast, uncaring machinery grinding on. Tomorrow, there will be orders. There will be movement to a new sector. There will be heretics or Xenos or chaos cultists or whatever the enemy is this time. Your shoulder will ache. Your hands will shake. You will kill. You will watch sisters die. You will keep moving. This is not a tragedy. This is not a story with a moral. This is simply what happens when you live long enough in the service of a God who demands everything and gives back only the stubborn refusal to die. Marta watches you stand. You can feel her fear like heat. How do you do it? She asks. How do you keep going? You don't have an answer for her. The truth is that you don't know anymore. You stopped understanding your own motivations years ago. Is it faith? Is it habit? Is it the eternal Phi Sich IV Mortis? The VoxNet dies with a sound like a throat being cut. One moment, Sister Cassia's voice is crackling orders from the upper levels. Fall back to checkpoint 7, maintain suppressing fire, and the next, there's nothing but white noise that turns your skull into a resonance chamber. You press the earpiece closer, as if proximity might resurrect the dead channel. It doesn't. The silence is worse than any scream. Around you, the corridor smells like promethium and copper, and the particular charred meat stench of loss-burned flesh. The walls of Hive Mortis are ceramic-reinforced rockcrete, ancient beyond counting, and they're weeping something dark from the impacts. Dust hangs in the air like prayer smoke. You can taste it on your tongue, gritty, mineral, faintly caustic. Marta is still breathing. That's something. She slumped against the wall 3 meters back, her left arm hanging wrong, Bolter cradled against her chest like a child she's forgotten how to hold. Her eyes track you, but they're not quite focused. Shock. Blood loss. She's been hit 3 times. The 3rd time was the one that mattered, the round that caught her shoulder and spun her like a top before she crashed into the rockcrete. "Vox is gone," you say. Your voice sounds strange to your own ears. Flat. You're not sure when that happened. When your voice stopped carrying emotion. 37 years ago, you would have trembled saying those words. Now you're just stating a fact. The Vox is gone. The hive is falling. The squad is cut off. These are things that are true. Marta's jaw tightens. She's 23, which makes her younger than you were when you first held a bolter. Her hands shake as she tries to check her ammunition counter. The display is dark. The whole weapon might be damaged. Probably is. Everything in Hive Mortis is damaged now. You move back to her position, your own bolter held at ready. The corridor stretches ahead of you into darkness. The emergency lighting flickered out an hour ago, and now you're navigating by the phosphor markers you painted on the walls during the initial push. They're barely visible under the accumulated dust and blood spatter. You don't need to see them anyway. You know this corridor now. You know every meter of it. You know where the impact craters are. You know where the bodies are. You've been holding this position for 4 hours. "How's the shoulder?" you ask Marta. Standard question. Something to say while you're both waiting for the end?
"Can't feel it,"
she says. Her voice is very small.
"Is that bad?"
"Yes." You think, that's very bad. Nerve damage. Shock setting in deeper. She probably has an hour before the bleeding becomes critical, maybe less. You don't tell her this. Instead you say, "The Emperor protects," and mean absolutely nothing by it. She almost smiles. Almost. You turn back to face the corridor. The darkness ahead is absolute. The Hive's main power grid went down when the Chaos Forces hit the primary reactors. That was yesterday, or the day before. You've stopped counting days. Time has become something fluid and meaningless. There's the time before the Vox died. There's the time after. Everything else is just waiting. The enemy came from below. That's what the initial reports said, before the Vox started getting spotty, before it died entirely. Heretics from the Underhive, corrupted by something that didn't have a name in any official briefing. But you've seen what they look like. You've seen the way their skin moves independently of their bones. You've seen the marks on their foreheads that weren't carved there, but grew there, like tumors shaped into language. You don't need a briefing to know what you're fighting. You need only your eyes and your faith and your bolter. Your bolter. You check the ammunition counter. 47 rounds. You've been rationing. Marta watched you do the math in your head after the 3rd time the enemy charged the barricade. She understood immediately. You have enough ammunition for maybe 5 more charges. Maybe 6, if you're very precise, very lucky, very disciplined. After that, you have a combat knife with a cracked blade and prayer. Prayer worked once. That's what you tell yourself. Back on Kesh Prime, when the Horde came and your faith was still hot enough to burn, you prayed, and the Emperor answered. You felt it then. The presence, the certainty, the absolute knowledge that you were held in divine hands. The heretics fell like wheat before the scythe. You are an instrument of his will made manifest. You're not sure you still believe that. The darkness ahead shifts. Not much, just enough to catch your attention. Your hand tightens on the bolter's grip. Your breathing stays level. Fear is a luxury you stopped being able to afford years ago. Fear is what gets you killed. Fear makes you hesitate. Fear makes you miss. You wait. The scratch sound comes again, something heavy moving against the rockcrete. Not walking. Dragging. The heretics move wrong. Their joints bend in directions that make your eyes hurt to track. The first time you saw one move, you thought it was injured. Then you realized it was just how they were built now. Chaos does that. It remakes you. It improves you, they would say, if they could still speak in words instead of wet, clicking sounds. Contact, you say quietly. Marta's breathing accelerates behind you. You don't turn around. Turning around is a wasted motion. Stay down. Stay quiet. The thing emerges from the darkness, like a thought becoming solid. You've learned to shoot before you process what you're seeing. Your bolter is already coming up, already tracking, already singing its terrible hymn. The first round leaves the chamber and the corridor lights up in the muzzle flash, just for a microsecond. But long enough to see it clearly, long enough to see that it used to be human, long enough to see what it's become. The round takes it in the chest. The thing's scream is something between a shriek and a sob. It staggers forward anyway. Of course it does. They always do. Pain doesn't stop them. Pain barely slows them down. You fire again. 3 times. Rapid, disciplined, aimed for the head. The skull caves inward on the second shot, and the thing drops like a puppet, with the eternal vigil. The pain arrives before you understand what's happened. It's not a thing that enters you. It's a thing that becomes you. Your spine isn't being torn apart. Your spine is at the tearing. Nerves don't fire in sequence. They all scream at once. A chorus of endings in a language older than the Imperium. Your legs stop working. You know this because you try to step backward, and instead you're falling, the corridor tilting, the walls spinning into the floor. Your hands come up reflexively, trying to catch yourself on stone that's already rushing past. Your fingers scrape and catch nothing. The impact of your ribs against the deck is distant now, muted under the white-hot roaring in your back. You can't breathe. Not because something is crushing your chest, but because every muscle from your shoulders to your hips has locked into a single, perfect contraction. Your lungs are iron. Your throat is sealed. The air around you seems thick, resistant, like you're drowning in atmosphere. Your vision swims. The hab-block ceiling comes into focus. Cracked plaster, exposed wiring, a water stain shaped like something that might have once been holy. You stare at it. You can't look away. Your head won't obey anymore. The claw withdraws. You feel it. Leave you the way you might feel. A blade being drawn from a sheath, that terrible sense of something essential, departing, leaving behind a void that your body rushes to fill with blood and sensation and wrongness. The hole in your spine is a mouth. The mouth is screaming. You are the mouth. Something shadows the ceiling. A shape. Massive. The thing moves with the jerky, wrong-angled gait of something that exists in more dimensions than 3. Its head is too many heads. Its eyes are too many eyes. They're all looking at you. They've always been looking at you. Your hand finds the bolter at your side. The motion costs you everything. Your arm is operating on memory alone, muscle memory from 1,000 drills, 1,000 combat deployments, 1,000 moments of squeezing a trigger when your brain was already checked out. The muscle remembers. The muscle is still a soldier even when the soldier is already dead. You raise the gun. The thing laughs. The laugh is not a sound. The laugh is a pressure behind your eyes. The laugh is the taste of copper on your tongue. The laugh is the knowledge that you've already lost, that you lost the moment you were born, that everyone you've ever known lost the moment they drew breath in this dying galaxy. Your finger tightens on the trigger. Nothing happens. The magazine is empty. You knew this. Part of you has known this for an hour, or has it been longer? Time doesn't work right anymore. Time is a rope fraying. You remember the last round going downrange. Remember the weight of the bolter changing as the feed ran dry. Remember thinking you should reload and then not reloading because there was no time and there was all the time in the world, and both things were true. The thing steps closer. You try to move. Your legs don't exist. Your spine is a ruined thing, a broken antenna still trying to broadcast into a dead receiver. You drag yourself backward with your hands, your fingernails breaking against the stone, and the thing keeps pace. It's not even hurrying. Why would it hurry? You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere ever again. Your vision is narrowing. The edges of the world are closing in like a shutter. You can see the thing's claw. The one that came through your back, that's still coming through your back, that will always be coming through your back. Rising up. And you understand with the clarity of the damned that this is the moment. This is the ending. This is where the story stops. You think of Sister Vex, bleeding out in your arms, whispering the Emperor's name into the dark. You think of the 3 initiates that Sister Drill Morissa broke on the first day, their faces going slack as they learned what faith costs. You think of the hive world shrinking beneath you as the transport lifted away, your only home becoming smaller and smaller until it was just a point of light and then nothing at all. You think of 12 years old, standing in the refectory, and Sister Cassia pointing at you across the room. You think of the moment your stomach dropped. You think of the moment you knew you were chosen. You understand now what you were chosen for. The claw descends. The pain is infinite. The pain is everything. The pain is the only true thing left in the universe. Your body convulses, and somewhere far away, or maybe very close, distance has stopped meaning anything. Someone is screaming. Someone is screaming your name. You are falling, not downward. In every direction at once, through layers of reality that peel away like skin. The hab block is gone. The corridor is gone. The hive city is gone. The planet is gone. You're falling through stars that burn with cold light, falling through the void between worlds, falling through the Emperor's light and into the dark beyond it. Your faith goes with you. You didn't know faith was something you could lose until it's already gone. You thought it was bolted into your chest, that it was the core of you, that it would survive anything. You were wrong. Faith is a thing that burns. Faith is a thing that breaks. Faith is a thing that screams when the claw finds it. And in the falling, in the infinite pain, in the moment when your body finally stops being a soldier and becomes only a corpse, you feel something else. Something that might be peace. Something that might be the Emperor's presence. Finally, after all these years, something that might be oblivion. The distinction doesn't matter anymore. You fall. The eternal vigil. Ascension. The flames don't hurt anymore. That's the first thing you notice when consciousness returns. If consciousness is the right word for this. There is no body to hurt. There is only the roar of promethium, the acrid taste of your own rendered fat in the air, the weight of watched eyes. They've laid you on the pyre with ceremony. Your armor remains. The black habit, charred now but still recognizable as the mark of your order. They don't strip the dead of their faith. The bolter rests across your chest, barrel pointing toward the sky as if you might still fire at heaven itself. Sister Miriam stands at the pyre's head. You can see her clearly despite the flames between you. Clarity is one of the strange gifts of this half-state, this threshold. She's older now. 60, perhaps. Her face is carved from stone and scar tissue. She reads from the Martyrologium, that endless book of names, and your name joins the chorus of the dead. It sounds foreign in her voice. Formal. Finished. Sister Evangeline Cress, she intones, servant of the Emperor, warrior of the Adepta Sororitas, sealed in faith, martyred in the Emperor's light. From dust she came. To ash she returns. Her name is written eternal. The younger sisters repeated back, a chorus of voices, some steady, some cracking. You recognize some of them. Novitiate Thalia, who always flinched at the sound of the drill sergeant's whistle. Sister Kale, who lost 2 fingers to frostbite on Kesh Prime and still outshot everyone in the squad. They're crying. You can see the tears catching the firelight. This troubles you in a way you don't have words for. You spent 37 years learning not to cry, learning that tears were weakness, that grief was self-indulgence, that the only appropriate response to loss was to load another magazine and keep firing. You learned it so thoroughly that you taught it to others. You broke them of their softness the way Sister Morissa broke you. You watched them harden into weapons. You watched their eyes go flat and distant. And now they're crying for you. The pyre burns hotter. Your armor begins to glow red, then white. The heat warps the metal. Your bolter's mechanism seizes. Everything is transforming. Everything is becoming something else. You think of the orphanage bells. That memory surfaces like something drowning, gasping for air. The bronze bells of the Sanctuary of the Faithful, hanging in the tower where the Adeptus Ministorum delegation arrived when you were 12. The sound they made was vast and terrible and final. You remember standing in the refectory with 200 other orphans, all of you thin and hollow-eyed and waiting for nothing in particular. The bells meant change was coming. The bells meant the world was about to crack open. Sister Cassia had pointed at you across the crowd. You'd felt her gaze like a physical weight. Your stomach had dropped into the stone floor. You didn't know then that you were being chosen for transcendence. You thought you were being chosen for punishment. In the Imperium, the distinction is often academic. The pyre crackles. Sparks rise toward the hive world's polluted sky. Somewhere above, in the sealed chambers where the Adeptus Mechanicus tends to their machines, there are priests who are recording your name, who are entering it into the vast mechanical libraries where the Emperor's servants keep their endless ledgers. Your name will survive you. Your name will be read aloud on this day every year, in perpetuity, by sisters who will never know your voice. This is immortality in the Imperium. Not glory, not legacy, just the endless repetition of a name, just the knowledge that you mattered enough to be recorded. You think of Vex, Sister Vex, who died in your arms on the 3rd day of the Mortis campaign. She'd taken a plasma bolt meant for you. There's a cosmic joke in that. You understand now. She'd stepped in front of it without hesitation, the way you'd all been trained to do. Squad cohesion, the mission before the individual, the Emperor before self. She'd bled into your flak armor. You'd held her while her breathing became irregular, then stopped. You'd closed her eyes. You'd whispered the litany of hate over her corpse because that was what you did. That was what faith demanded. You'd thought, at that moment, that you understood the meaning of duty. You were wrong about so many things. The flames consume your uniform now. The white of your hair has already burned away. What remains is bone and ash and the strange, lingering electricity of what you were. The sisters continue their prayer. Their voices rise and fall in the prescribed cadence. They're doing this correctly. They're honoring the dead the way the Imperium demands. And you realize, in this moment between burning and oblivion, that you've never felt more alone. Not when you were lying in the punishment cells after Sister Morissa broke your arm in 3 places for speaking out of turn. Not when you were bleeding out in the corridors of Hive Mortis, watching your ammunition counter tick down to 0. Not when you were young and small and waiting for the Adeptus Ministorum to point at someone, anyone, and change their life. Alone, you understand, is the baseline condition of existence. Everything else, the squad, the faith, the purpose, is just elaborate decoration. Just ways of convincing yourself that the isolation isn't unbearable. But it is unbearable. It always was. The pyre burns down to coals. Your armor settles into the ash. The sisters file past, each one dropping a handful of blessed earth onto what remains of you. This is the ritual of completion. This is how the Imperium says goodbye. Novitiate. Talia drops her handful and lingers. For a moment, you think she might speak. You think she might break protocol and say something true. But she doesn't. She bows instead, forehead to fist, and turns away. Good. That's correct. Sentiment is a weakness you wouldn't want her to inherit. The sun is setting over Hive Mortis. The sky is the color of old blood. The hive itself still stands, though barely. The heretics are dead or fled. The mission was accomplished. Faith was vindicated. The Imperium remains undefeated. And you remain nothing. You are smoke,